Go over to the other side of that option bar. Your third icon in from the right is going to be a show conversation icon. We're going to be able to have a meeting chat while we're meeting. So even though I said we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end, if you have a pressing question and you think you may forget it before the end, please feel free to drop it over here in this meeting chat to the right-hand side of your screen. And I do have my cell phone with me. So I will be checking it periodically to see if there are any questions that pop up that I can answer right away. So if we can just make sure everyone is able to access that, everyone is able to find it, I'm going to say hello over in the chat. And if you all can say hello back using the meeting chat, I would appreciate it. We're starting to get some responses, so it looks like we're good to go. Everyone is able to find meeting chat. Great. So now I am going to turn off my camera and then we'll jump straight into the presentation. And just as a FYI, this session is being recorded. So you'll notice that there is an alert going across the top of your screen that says recording has started. This meeting is being recorded. By joining, you are giving consent for this meeting to be recorded, and there's a privacy policy attached. You all will have access to this meeting once the meeting is over, and I'll show you all where you can easily find it. But give it maybe 20 minutes after this meeting is over, and it will be saved in the meeting chat. So this chat that we have going on here where you can ask questions, after the meeting is over, all the way to the far left-hand side of your Microsoft Teams screen, your second icon from the top is going to be chat. You can always reference back to this chat that we're having right now, and any recordings from that session will be stored in this chat. So again, about 20 minutes after the session is done today, you'll be able to come back here and find the recording. Because the recording has started, no one else needs to press record. So just as another disclaimer, anytime you're doing a Teams meeting and you see that purple going across the top that says the session is being recorded, only one person needs to record. As long as that one person, and it's already been started today, as long as that one person is recording, everything will be accessible to all the participants of the meeting just by going over to that chat once it's done. So now that we've got that out of the way, it's time to actually jump in and start talking about Microsoft Teams and channels. So I'm going to minimize this screen, and we'll start with the easiest way to get to Microsoft Teams. There is a web-based version of Teams, meaning you'll see a browser address going across the top. That means you opened up Internet Explorer, you opened up Safari, you opened up Chrome, you went on the internet. You can go to Office 365, so the same place you go in the mornings to check your email, and you'll find Microsoft Teams here. It's always going to be purple, always going to be two people that are close but not touching right behind the purple T. That will open up the online version of Teams. So if you click into Teams from here, it will open up a new tab. You're in Microsoft Teams, the online version. We do suggest, if you're going to become one of those Teams power users, that you have the desktop version. And in order to get to the desktop version, you would simply follow to the bottom of this screen. If it's not downloaded on your computer already, you can download it just from that bottom left-hand corner. There's going to be a little icon that looks like a computer screen with an arrow pointing down through it. If you click on that icon, it will download the desktop version of Teams to your computer. If you already have Teams downloaded to your computer, you can find it in your Start menu if you're on a Windows device. And if you just search for Teams, you'll notice that it pops up and the icon is still going to be the two people with the purple T. If you're on a Mac device, it will just show up as one of your applications going across the bottom. So desktop version of Teams versus the online version of Teams. And when we get into meetings is where you'll see the primary differences in the two. But now that we're thinking about getting into meetings, we'll start with channels, then we'll get into breakout rooms, because all a breakout room is a meeting in a channel. If you have teams already created for you, So if anyone in your organization has added you to a Microsoft team, you will find them simply by going to that far left rail, clicking on Teams, and you'll see all of the teams that you're a part of here. I have mine in grid view, so they look like little blocks. There is another view that you may see yours in, and that's going to be list view. Either way you see it, either in the list like this or in the grids that you saw earlier, you're in the right place, and both of those will work perfectly well for you. I'm going to create a new team just so I can show you what the process is, kind of give those of you that may not have made the introduction to team session an overview, and it'll give me a team to play around in. If you are ever needing to create a team, in the list view, you would find it in your bottom left corner. In your grid view, it's in your upper right corner. There are 4 types of teams that can be created, thinking about the use that you have for them: a classroom team, a professional learning community team, a staff team, and an other team. And this is really just dependent on thinking about who you're going to be working with in this space. For today's demo, I'm going to create an other team, and we'll call it Channel Demo. I'm not going to worry about a description. I'm not going to worry about privacy. I'm just going to leave it as the standard, which is private, which means that me as the creator of the team is the only one who can add people into the team. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'll add a few people in just so we can see some examples of what it looks like to assign those individuals into a channel. So I'll add Desiree, and I will add myself. There we go. So now that I have a couple of individuals in the channel or in the team, I'm closing it. My team has been created. This is what a general Teams space looks like. Whenever you create a team, you're going to have the name of the team, and I can minimize the rest of these so that we can focus just on the one that we're working on today. So we'll get all of these out of the way. And we're only going to be looking down here at the bottom at this channel demo team. Whenever you create a team, you automatically get a general channel built into your teams. When you think of something like channels, I think of turning on the television. My general channel, NBC, ABC, CBS, it's my catch-all. That's standard. That's where I may make announcements to everyone who's part of my team. I share information that everyone that's a part of my team needs to be able to get to. We have conversations here with all members of the team. That's my general, and that's in my general channel. I have the option to add additional channels, and this is what's going to come into how we want to break things down. Going back to that TV analogy, ESPN, I know I go there for sports. HGTV, I know I go there for home and garden television. MTV or VH1, I know I go there for something music related. We're thinking about the same thing when we start adding other channels to these teams. To add a channel, the easiest way is when you see that team name, you simply want to click those 3 ellipses next to that team name. Whenever you see 3 ellipses in Microsoft, click on them. There's always great stuff behind them. And from there, you have an option to add a channel. When I go in to add a channel, I'm now naming this channel. And this is something that I'm breaking down. So I'm thinking about, am I working with a set group of students? And I want to break my students down into student groups. So I could say this one is going to be student group 1 and add that channel. If I'm thinking about other ways I may break up channels, I may break up my class or my unit or my work group by units. So I'm going to add a channel, and we'll call this one Unit 1. I'm still going to keep it private. Privacy is going to be set to standard, and we'll go back through that shortly, but I just want to create some channels so we can see what they look like. Another way I may break things up is I may break it up by date. So I may add a channel, and it will have week of, and then have the week of June 1st. And I'm going to add that channel. So when you're thinking about channels, you're thinking about the ways that you either want to break up groups of students or groups of individuals, or ways that you want to break up a workload. You could break this up by project. So let's say you're not in a classroom and you still want to use Teams, which there's 10 million uses for Teams outside of simple classroom use. And I say I want to add a channel. We could have a fundraising channel. And we're thinking of these as places that focus on a very specific topic. Each of these channels that I've created has its own dedicated post space. So its own space that individuals can come in, type, have conversations, chat, and it's dedicated to just that topic. So with this example, where the channel is called fundraising, all of my fundraising conversations would take place in this channel. In this one that's called student group, all of my conversations about the student group would take place in this channel. And I think someone's off of mute. So if everyone could just check to make sure they're muted. Okay, thank you very much. And where it comes to Unit 1, all of my conversations about Unit 1 would take place here. The great thing about having conversations within a channel, it keeps everything focused. And just to keep the channel slightly more organized, if I ask a question here and someone wants to reply, the messages, the chat, they're threaded. So the reply would go here directly to that question. I know exactly what they're answering. As part of my reply, I can put in GIFs, I can put in stickers, I can attach documents. I have options to the replies just to these conversations that I'm having. The other thing you get in channels outside of a dedicated post space or conversation space is you get a dedicated file space. If there are files that are specific to fundraising that we're working on, documents that we're working on as a team, documents that we're sharing out or just need to view, all of my fundraising related documents can go directly into this channel simply by going up to that Files tab at the top. And when I'm here, I can either create new documents, a new Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, or a new form. If I'm one of those super duper organized people, Siobhan personally is not, but there are people that are there and I appreciate those people in the world, I can set it up with folders. Now I can say this is going to be, since we're in fundraising, this will be event 1 and have a folder for each event and then organize it by putting documents into that specific folder. When we're using Teams, I don't have to share these documents out. Anything that's in any of these folders is going to be accessible to every member of this team. So again, this is a really easy way. If I work with a group of 13 or 14 individuals, instead of having to send emails back and forth for people to edit, for me to share, for making sure it's a live document, anything that I put in a channel, every member of this team and channel has access to, and it's all a live document that multiple people can be collaborating on in real time. Outside of creating a new document, I do have that option to upload documents into this space as well. So I can choose an individual file that I may have saved on my computer. So we'll choose an Excel document, or I can bring in entire folders. Again, now that it's in this channel, in this file space, every member of this team that has access to this channel can come here and we can all work on this document collaboratively together. That is the whole purpose of Teams, is just bringing us all into one central hub to do the work that we need to do. And channels allows us to break that work down so that we're staying more organized and more time on task. Within each channel, outside of just having posts, outside of having files, you get this plus sign. This is where you can add additional tabs, i.e. additional functionality into a channel. If there's a website that we're going to be discussing when we're thinking about fundraising, and it may be that we're looking at the location for our fundraiser, and the location has a website, I can add a website tab here, and now every person that comes into this team and goes to this channel will be able to see this location's website. I am new to Tennessee, so I'm just going to ask for a golf course because I think that's a good place to have a fundraiser. So we'll go with the first one that comes up. I actually want a real golf course though. Here we go. So we'll just copy the link for this golf course. And you can do this with any web-based link that is a secure web link. I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to save. And what you'll notice is now there's a new tab going across the top, still in my channel. And my internet is being super crazy today, so I apologize for that. There's a new tab in this channel. And if your internet works like it's supposed to, you would be able to see the website that's there. The goal of this is to keep everybody in one place, again, a central hub. I know who I am as a person. I have undiagnosed adult ADHD, where if I leave out of this team to go look up here for a golf course, and I just happen to start browsing the web, it will be 2 hours later. And not only have I looked at this golf course, I've decided I'm going to book a trip to Jamaica, and I've done 37 other things that have nothing to do with fundraising. But by keeping everything centralized in this team, it keeps everyone in one place. So outside of websites, you can add PowerPoint presentations. You can add Word documents. You can add Excel spreadsheets, forms. All of these things are native to Teams. And when you look under that, you'll see that there are a ton of apps that can be added into Microsoft Teams as well. These are all third-party apps that Teams does work with. So we can add YouTube as an app. And now, if I wanted to have a YouTube video that everyone that's a member of this team and channel looks at, when they come here, now we can all come directly to this place. So we'll look up golf courses. And we can search in here, choose save. And now that's going to be pinned at the top in this channel, meaning everyone that's a part of this team comes to this channel and can watch this video. Thinking about this for classroom usage, thinking about this for faculty and staff usage, thinking about this for administrative usage, you would create it yourself, but just knowing some of these functionalities, hopefully your brains are going and the wheels are turning and thinking about how you may use channels within Microsoft Teams. So now that we've done the intro piece of channels, let's dig a little bit deeper at what can make a channel special. And that would be the ability to have private channels. So I'm going to go right back up to the name of my team, go over to those 3 ellipses again for more options. And this time when I add a channel, I'm going to come here where it says privacy, and I'm going to make this channel private. This means that only the individuals that I identify will have access to this channel. The people that I identify have to be a part of the whole team, but now I can make a private space for only certain members of that team. So we'll call this one private space. And click next. You'll notice coming up on this left-hand side where it's listing all of my channels, the private channel that I create, and I'm not going to worry about adding any individuals to it right now. The private channel that I create has a lock next to it. That's how you can tell that a channel is private. It will always have a lock. Public channels do not have locks. In this private channel, we still get that same post space, so we can have our own dedicated conversations. We still get our own dedicated file space. And you'll notice me looking in the file space here, I don't see the files that I added to my fundraising channel. That's specific just to fundraising. If I go look in student group, I don't see the files that I added anywhere else here either. Each channel gets its own dedicated posts, files, and tabs. So in this private space, I can pull maybe 5 people who are the ones who deal with putting the financials together. I can pull 5 people who are working on a rollout plan that hasn't been presented to everyone else. I can pull a group of students that are working on a special project. I can break my class up into groups and have them in private channels, and that's their private workspace. So you have the ability to choose if you want a public channel, which is going to be available to every member on the team, or you can have a private channel, which is going to be available only to the members of the team that you identify, so they have access to that space. One thing about private channels, whenever you see that lock, if someone is not the creator of the team, that's why I see it, I created it. But if someone is not the creator or has been added as a member, they won't even see that that channel exists. So if you have a private channel, you don't have to worry about anyone else trying to figure out what's going on in that private space. If they're not a member of that channel, they won't even know that it's there. So now that we've talked about channels, creating them, choosing whether they're going to be public or private, you do have a few more options for managing your channels. And you can get to channel management in two places, either up in that far upper right-hand corner whenever you're in a channel, or you can go to the name of the channel, find those three ellipses, and choose Manage Channel. So two places that you can manage channel. Upper right-hand corner, next to the word channel, you'll see three ellipses. You can go there, or you can go to the name of the channel where it's listed, click on those three ellipses, and choose Manage Channel. When you go in to manage a channel, you get a few permissions here. You can choose who can start a new post. So if I do have guests, i.e. external individuals, if that's turned on for you all to have guests as part of your teams, I can say that everyone except guests. So guests would be anyone who's outside of your last part of your email tenant. So anyone who is outside of your organization will be considered a guest. I can have it set up that they are not able to start conversations or start posts. Or I can say, it's an open space. We all want to talk freely. Everyone can start a post within this space. I can also choose to have moderators in this channel. This gives individuals ownership permissions. So the same way I can add and remove people, the same way I'll be able to comment on every post, or I can delete posts. If I want to give those privileges to someone else, I can turn on channel moderation and I can choose who has the ability to do that. I can say only the owners of the team, or I can add additional individuals that have that capability. And I can give members of my team permission. So all of those people that I've added to my team, do I want them to be able to reply to channel messages? We think of this a lot of times in education, that if there's ever a time that students have access to these messages and they may be posting things that are inappropriate, we can turn that off. They won't be able to reply to anyone else's message anymore. I can say, and we'll deal with this probably in another session a couple weeks out when we start dealing with third-party applications, but if I want bots or connectors, those you don't have to worry about that much. Again, we'll deal with that in a couple of weeks, but the primary one here would be, do I want to allow members to reply to channel messages? If I'm fine, everything is going good, I keep that turned on. If there's ever a time that there's inappropriate conversation, or I just need to put a halt on replies, I can turn that off, and members of the team, the people I added to this team and to this channel, will not have permission to do that. I can also get analytics from a channel. So I'll be able to see how many users are using that channel. And as individuals start to post messages in that channel, I'll be able to see how many messages have been posted each day. So if I go back to fundraising, and I'll go to manage my fundraising channel, and I go to analytics, I can see there's still 3 users. They've been using about 6 apps, but no data is available because no one has posted. And then I can break it down if I want to see the last 90 days, the last 30 days, or only the last 7 days. It's just a quick, easy overview to get an idea of how individuals are utilizing the channels. Now that we've got channels, let's talk about breakout rooms and thinking about why we would want to use a breakout room and what the purpose of them are. A lot of times I can have this big, broad, general channel. Again, this is where everyone is able to have their conversations. And we can have meetings in this channel. Totally up to us. We can start a meet now in this channel. Everyone is invited. But there may be a time where I want a meeting to be happening just about fundraising. So I'm going to break up everybody into groups to talk about fundraising. For that, I want to go in and I want to start adding additional channels. So we'll call this one Fundraising 1. That's going to be one of my channels. I can add a description and then I can choose, do I want everyone to be able to access this channel, or do I want to limit it to just 2 or 3 individuals? If I say I want to limit it to just a few individuals, I'm going to make it private. If I want it to be open to everyone, again, I'll make it standard. It can be public. Another way that we're using channels right now is we're doing a lot of virtual PD days across the state. So they're thinking of it as having session 1 or breakout session 1. That's going to be one of their channels. And then they may have 4 breakout sessions scheduled for that day. So all we have them do is go in, add breakout session 2, and they keep setting it up. Go in, add another channel, breakout session 3. And just for good measure, breakout session 4 may be a private one that they only want the top tier administration to come to. So we'll call breakout 4 and we'll make this one private. And again, if you're going to add individuals to a private channel, they have to be a member of that team. So since Desiree is a member of the team, I'm able to add her to the channel. Now it's time to start setting up these breakout meetings. We'll start with breakout session 1. So I'm simply going to navigate to that channel. If you're in the desktop version of Teams, you would start a meeting from your upper right-hand corner. Right now, I'm showing you all this through the online version of Teams. So I have to go down to my bottom rail underneath my conversation, and I'll see what looks like my camera. And that's how I can start meetings from here. So I would simply choose if I want my camera turned on or off and what my subject is going to be. So again, just so individuals can find it, we'll call this one Breakout 1. And meet now. That starts this breakout session. While this session is going on, I'm just going to navigate. I'm not going to hang up. I'm simply going to go back to my far left rail, navigate back to Teams, and it will take me into the team that I'm working on. I see that a meeting has started in this channel because there's a camera here. And when individuals need to join this breakout, they would simply navigate to this channel and click join. That's all they would have to do. But I need more than just one session. So now I'm going to navigate to the breakout session 2 channel. And from here, I'm going to follow the same procedure. I'm going to go to meet now. I'm going to start another meeting in this space. You can see my breakout session 1. It's still there for me. It's on hold right now because I'm starting this one. But if I wanted to go back into that session, I would simply press play and it would take me back into that meeting. But we want to start a couple more sessions. So now I'm going to go back again, simply click on Teams. I can see that I have breakout rooms happening right now in 2 of my channels because I can see those 2 cameras. Now I want to go into channel 3. Exact same procedure, finding my camera, starting this meeting, and this meeting is now going on. And if I'm in one of those situations where I need to moderate multiple meetings at a time or multiple breakouts, this is when this is ideal, because to go back, now I need to check on breakout 1. I simply find that play button, click on it. I'm back in breakout room 1 right now. If I needed to go back and check on breakout room 3 because I've sat here for a while, now I can go to breakout room 3. Now that my breakout rooms are set up, and I can tell that they're set up because I see cameras going in each of these channels, And as I navigate to each of them, so right now, breakout session 3, there's a meeting. It says join. If I go back to my breakout session 2 channel, there's a meeting. It says join. Breakout session 1, same thing, meeting and join. I would easily be able to have individuals that are part of this team simply navigate to the session that they're supposed to be in, and they'd be able to join. I wouldn't have to send out invites. All they would have to do is be a member of this team, and then they'd be able to navigate their way through and join this way. And that's how you can use channels to make breakout rooms that you can easily moderate, switch back and forth between the meetings, and make it really easy for the members of your team to join these meetings. And when the meeting is over, you have 2 options for ending meetings. And this is exactly the same as it is with just a regular Teams meeting. If there are other people in the room and I want the meeting to keep going, I just need to leave, I would simply hang up. But if I'm ready to end this meeting, hard stop, my class is over, the kids are still trying to hang around in the room, I need to put them on the other side of my classroom door, close my door and lock it and put them out, I want to navigate to my 3 ellipses, and then I'm going to choose end meeting. When I do that, it lets me know that I'm ending the meeting for everyone. Am I okay with that? I am. I click end. That kicks everyone out. Now I can go back and I can do that for every meeting that I'm a part of. So now I'm ending this meeting. And now I have one more, and I'm just going to end this meeting as well. When I go back to my far left rail and look at Teams, you'll notice there are no more cameras going on in any of those rooms. All of those meetings have been ended. But if I look at those sessions, I can see where the meeting was. If I had chosen to record those meetings, right here where it has this bar that lets me know how long the meeting was and when it ended, it would also have the recording of that meeting. So if it's ever going to be one of those instances, thinking instructional possibly, that I need to have these recorded and students need to easily go back and reference those recordings, it's ideal to do it in a channel because that meeting will live in that channel and they can just go back, click on a link, and they'll be able to watch the replay. There may be a time, though, that you don't want to have to start all of these meetings the way I just did in your channels, but you still want to have multiple meetings going on at the same time. Another way you can set up multiple meetings at the same time is simply by using your calendar. In Teams, far left rail, going into my calendar, I can start or schedule a new meeting. So I would simply click on New Meeting, choose to title it Breakout 1. I'm not going to add any attendees to this. I am going to choose the time, and we'll say this meeting will be from 11:30 to 12:30 on the 29th. I can either add it directly to one channel. So if I know, we talked about channels, if I know this meeting is something I want scheduled in a channel, so channel demo, I can put this one in Breakout 1 and click send. And this is if I'm planning my breakouts in advance. The first set of ways I showed you to do breakout sessions, we were doing them all in real time. But if I ever do need to schedule them in advance, I can simply use my calendar. Now I'll do a new meeting again. This one we'll call Breakout 2. I'll leave it for 11:30 to 12:30. And I'm going to go back here where it says Add Channel. I'm going to find my team, which is Channel Demo. And because this is Breakout 2, I'm going to put that in this channel and press send. Now I can see all of these are showing up on my calendar because I'm the one that's creating it. But also, if I go back to that team, you'll notice that in each of these sessions, now there's going to be a join link. So all individuals would have to do at 11:30 is where these 3 ellipses are over in this far right-hand side, that will change to the word join. So at 11:30, when it's time, they would just have to click join and they would be a part of that meeting. So that's another way to set up your breakout rooms in channels if you're thinking that you need to plan these out in advance. The first way was a right then and there. I'm scheduling them at the time I need them to start. If I need it to be broken out over separate times, or I'm thinking further in the future, I'll simply continue to go to my calendar, add new meetings. It can be breakout 3. Make sure my time is correct for this one, and I can add these repetitively. So if you know that this is going to be an ongoing meeting that you want to happen every week. So now you'll see this will show up every Friday. It's calendared. And I'll go to add channel, channel demo, and put this one in breakout 3. Now I see it's on my calendar here as well. Same thing, I can go back into that team. And now when I go to breakout 3, I can easily just click into this link, and you'll see it says that it occurs every Friday at 11:30 a.m. So pre-planning, thinking about that, I have this option. And just to throw in a bonus, in case you're not using Teams wholeheartedly yet, we're working on getting you there, but you're not feeling 100% comfortable with Teams, but you still like the concept of having these breakouts, and you're still going to be using Teams meetings because it is extremely secure. Once you schedule a meeting on your calendar, so any of those breakout sessions that I schedule, I can always click into that on my calendar, and you'll see that there's a link that shows up now in the description that says join Microsoft Teams meeting. I can simply copy that link and share that out with individuals that I need to join the meeting at that time. I could make a spreadsheet and have all of those links in that spreadsheet. So when it's time to join, an individual will simply click on the link for them. So there's different ways. If I send out a flyer, if I send out a blog, if I have a website up for my class, I can always put those links into there. So individuals will simply have to click on those links in order to join the breakout meetings. And I know I said that was going to be the last way, but there is a bonus. And this is something that we were working on with someone from Tennessee Tech a couple of weeks ago. And the more I thought about it and the more we developed it out, the more it seemed like a really good idea. We're going to go back into the team. And we're going to go back into our general channel, because general is, again, our catch-all. So we're going to start a meeting in our general channel, just a regular meet now. And let's say we have 150 individuals in this meeting, but now I need to do a breakout and pull 10 or 11 of them into a private space for us to meet. And this came about, I believe, from an advising conversation. So we have this really big meeting going on. And now there are 10 or so individuals that I need to pull out of this meeting and talk to privately. I want to navigate to my far left rail, go to chat. I'm going to start a chat, and I may just type in the names of those 10 individuals. And this gives me a lot of those same features that I would have in a channel, as far as being able to share files, as far as being able to still have a chat-based conversation, so that post space, and be able to, once I add individuals into this space, and again, I'm going to use Desiree, and I'm going to use the other Siobhan. So once I have my 10 or 12 individuals typed into there, you'll see that a camera shows up on this right-hand side. I can start a meeting with just those 10 or 12 individuals and still have access to chat and still have access to files without it being a full-out team or channel. So thinking about ways that we may need to break individuals apart into groups, work with them in private spaces instead of always our big general overarching meetings, this is another way to add to that. It doesn't use channels, but it definitely gives you a breakout room type space. And with that said, because I gave you all an extra one, and I'm sure there are probably going to be some questions, I am going to stop sharing. So first I'm going to end that meeting. And I am going to stop sharing my screen and then come back and see what the questions are. And this time If you have a question, please feel free to come off of mute.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If I'm teaching a lesson, and what would be the most simplest way to break my students out into groups for like a discussion? Just say if I'm teaching a lesson and I want to break, maybe I have 25 students in the class, and
Mm-hmm.
so I will have to go in and break them off myself, right? Put them in like maybe put group one, group two, group three.
That
And
would
then I
probably,
go back into teams and then put them in individual groups. But how would I time them? Because I only want them to discuss about maybe 10 minutes.
okay. Are you using Teams at all right now for the class, or are you all meeting someplace separately?
We're going to be using teams for the class.
Okay, so when you have a class team set up already, and we'll use this class, I would say exactly what you said. I would set up channels already for group one, group two, group three, group four. I just gave them some odd names in this one. And
Hmm.
I, as the teacher, because you only want them to have 10 minutes, I
Right.
would go and just start the meeting. Whenever I'm telling them to break out, all right, I'm about to go start you all's meetings. You're on a countdown clock. It's 10 minutes. At the 10-minute point, you can go in and end those meetings for them.
Okay.
So because you are the teacher, they won't have the same privileges you do. So if I was to start a meeting here, remember where I showed you how you could end a meeting and then other individuals could just hang up?
Yes.
Only the instructor has the ability to end a meeting. Students don't have that. So
So
you'd be
that
able to go in and end it.
so that would come in my planning. So if I know that I'm going to teach a class and I'm wanting them to have discussion, I should have already created the groups
I
based
would.
technically
Yes.
beforehand.
And you don't have to assign students to them. If you just create them and you see there are no locks next to these, it's
Mm-hmm.
just students can navigate to them as I assign them. It's not up to me to put them in there in advance. I'm just going to tell
Oh,
you
okay.
right now, you go to the group one, you go to group two, and you
Okay.
don't have to do so much work.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I see there were some questions typed over in the Q&A, so I'm looking at that now. But again, if you just want to come off of mute and ask any of your questions, please feel free. Can you assign students to see channels? Students, unless it's a private channel that a student is not added to, the student will see those channels that have been created as part of that team. Go ahead. I hear someone coming off mute.
To go back to her a question that she asked
Yeah.
before, when you were inside that calendar, it
Mm-hmm.
showed a time bar at the bottom. Is that not where you could maybe set it up and say 10 minutes and it stops?
It doesn't stop. So that time
Okay.
bar is almost just like putting an email invite into your calendar. It's a suggested time, but it doesn't stop the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Let's see. Can members of the breakout session go back in and start the meeting without you? So if you leave that meeting, and this is Joan, so you've gone in and you've started these breakout sessions. If you end the session, they cannot from student side because there's different permissions that students have than faculty and staff. So from a student side, there is a feature that students are not allowed to start meetings. That's something that's going to be determined at the university level, but it can be turned off for students to start meetings. If that's turned off, they won't be able to start a thing without you. They have to wait for an instructor to start. To set it up in the calendar for a meeting in the channel, you would have to have the channel set up. Yes, you would have to have all of your channels set up in advance. If you don't have channels set up in advance, you'll only see general channel because general comes whenever you build a team. So if the question is to set it up into those individual channels, anything other than general, you would have to have those already. So the other types of teams, so other classroom staff, and PLC. So when we're thinking about Microsoft Teams, we're thinking about it as a hub, and we're thinking about it, and this is a great time because most of us are working remotely right now. We're thinking about a classroom outside of your classroom, your office outside of your office. So I'm going to show the 4 types of teams really quickly, and we can go over the different types. A classroom team, your verbiage is going to be you have students and you have a teacher. So the verbiage is student teacher. In this team, everything looks exactly the same as it does in other. The biggest difference is you get a class notebook, which is a OneNote notebook that is set up with sections already in it. So imagine a teacher has this really big Trapper Keeper style binder. And in this binder, there's going to be a section that is called your collaboration space. Students and teachers, everyone can work in there together. It's like having a whiteboard space, totally open for everybody. Next to that, you have a content library. The content library is the place that the teacher can put documents that are going to be read only for the students. So anything that a teacher puts in the content library, the students can see, but they can't make any changes to. Collaboration space, everybody can make changes to everything. It's just open. Content library, it's a file cabinet. And then you have these individual folders in there for each student that's in your class. So you can see what's in their folder, but they can't see what's in any other student's folders. So that's a class team. You still get everything else. You still get a post space. You still get files. You still get tabs. The difference is going to be your verbiage for students and teachers and the notebook that's created. Your professional learning community team, the team is going to look exactly the same. You have members and owners. So verbiage is going to be members and owners, and you get just a blank OneNote notebook. So it doesn't have any separate spaces in it, but it does have templates for the PLC process. So if you use the PLC process, those templates are built in, but they can be deleted. When we're doing a staff team, you're thinking again of like a hierarchy. So you're going to have leaders and then you're going to have members as far as your verbiage in a staff team. And your leader will be either the department leader, it will be your dean, it will be someone who's over. And they have this same type of OneNote notebook that the teacher had in a class, except for this time they have it for staff. So you still get this big binder. This still has collaboration space where everyone can work. This still has content library that's going to be like a file cabinet. And then you have individual sections for each staff member that only the leader, administrator, and that staff member can see. Other is completely open. So that's the one, it's the verbiage is members and owners. The OneNote notebook is just like the notes app that you get on your phones. It doesn't have any sections. It doesn't have any templates. It doesn't have anything in it. It's just wide open for anyone to use. So those are the differences in your 4 types of teams. Okay, let's see. When I create a meeting and join a few minutes before time, I get a message that someone will let me in shortly. Why can't I just go in? So there are some permissions, and if it's you creating it, you shouldn't come up against that. So we may need to dig with IT a little bit more into why that's happening. But just to give you all an overview of what meeting permissions look like, I'm going to go back into my calendar, and I'm going to find a meeting that I scheduled. And I think I just deleted all of them. So I'm going to put a meeting in here really quickly. I'll add a few people. Again, Desiree, I know her email is going to be very unhappy with me today. And we'll leave the time from 11:30 to 12. So I'm going to set up this meeting. The meeting is going to show up on my calendar. When I have a meeting, the first thing that you want to do when setting up a meeting is go to meeting options. So after you've set up any meetings, and this is not just for Teams meetings when you're using channels, this is anytime you're setting up a Teams meeting. When you go into meeting options, you have some options for who can bypass the lobby. It sounds like you're coming into a lobby space, but if you're the one who created the meeting, you should not have a lobby space. But what a lobby allows is for you to determine who can come into your meeting and how. If I have who can bypass the lobby and that's set to everyone, that means that people that are within my organization or external, they can just come straight into my meeting. If I have it set for people in my organization and trusted organizations are determined at your team's admin level. And if I say people in my organization, that means everyone that's a part of my school should be able to come in with no problem. But if there's anybody that's external, they'll be in a lobby and it will say, they'll get that message that you're getting, and someone in that meeting will have to let them in. The other features that you get under meeting options, or the other options that you get, the ability to let callers. So most Teams meetings come with this dial-in number. If they have a dial-in number, most, not all, but most, if they have that dial-in number and someone calls in, you can say you don't want them to wait in a lobby. They can just automatically join. And you can determine if you want them to have to announce when they're coming and leaving. So it will play that recording of their name that they record when they join the meeting. And now who can present? And this is totally my fault. I should have shown this one when I was showing you how to set up meetings, because this one is important if you're working with students. When it says who can present, everyone, people in my organization, specific people, or only me. When you make someone a presenter, so if I say everyone can present, that means everyone will have the option to mute all. That means everyone will have the option to share out their screen or share out a PowerPoint. That means everyone will have the option to remove people from the meeting. A lot of times we don't want students to have all of those permissions. So you can set it that only me, i.e. the person who's setting up the meeting, I'll be the only presenter. I can set it for specific people, and it will have me choose the individuals that are a part of my meeting to say, I'm going to give them presenter privileges. And I think about that if I'm doing a class and I know we're doing sharing that day, and I have 2 or 3 students that are going to be sharing their presentation, I may set it knowing who they are. The specific people are able to share and act as presenters. I can have it set that only people in my organization have these privileges, or again, I can have it as everyone. But do think about this when you're working with students, because we don't always want students to be able to mute everyone. We don't always want a student to be able to share out their screen, and we may not always want a student to be able to remove people from a meeting. So my apologies for not showing you all that one earlier, but that is an important part or important consideration when you're setting up a meeting.
So
yes.
So when I get that message of someone will let me in shortly, and I am the one who created the meeting,
yes,
that's a mistake.
That is a mistake. So I'm not sure if David is on this call, but that's going to be something we'll have to talk to IT about, because that should not be happening if you're the one that's creating the meeting.
I am on the call.
Okay, so that's something we can look into. I'm not sure why that would happen.
That can happen when sometimes people, I don't know if you're already signed into Office 365 when you click a meeting link from wherever you're coming from in the browser, if you're going that way. If you are using the desktop version and you're signed into the desktop version, you shouldn't be prompted to be placed in a meeting as a guest in any way. But if you are clicking a link from email and then joining in the browser, and it's asking you to type in your name, that means you're probably not signed into Office 365 in the browser potentially, but we'd have to take a look at it to be sure.
Yes, I'm using my Southwest email when I'm going in.
Okay, we'll probably have to set up a call and do a remote session to see exactly why that's happening with your account.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to ask, how can we access this recording of this training once it's done? Because sometimes I need to see things 2 or 3 times to get it.
Definitely. So once this training is over, on that far left-hand side in Microsoft Teams, you'll see the chat icon. When you click on chat, this meeting will still show up for you. It'll probably be your most recent chat. And maybe about 20 to 30 minutes after the meeting is over, the video recording will show up here. It automatically processes. So whenever you come to a meeting that's being recorded, after the meeting is over, it will always show back up in the chat.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And just to add to that, we're also going to be adding these links to the website. We're going to be uploading it to YouTube and making it accessible as many ways as possible. So not only the training for the channels, the training for Teams itself.
And to answer Angela's question, as of right now, there is no way to set up channels that don't show up until later. The channel will show, well, it's not going to make it show up later. You could make it private and then just add the individuals later, and that way they won't see it until then, but that will require you to go back in and add people when you're ready for them to see it. Any other questions?
When you reference the meeting of 150, you have to go in and individually log all of those 150 in?
So if they're a part of the team, you would not have to. So if you have a meeting in a non-private channel in a team, everybody that's a part of that team is invited. But if I was to create a private meeting or a private channel, I would have to add all 150 of those into that private channel by typing in their names, and then they would see that meeting.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
You may have explained it, but it's in my head, so I'm just going to repeat.
Okay.
So, say for instance, I am doing a virtual event and I have it open so that all students can join. So it's an unlimited number of who will actually click on and join.
Okay.
And I create breakout groups ahead of time, but during the meeting, like I said, you probably already said this, so I'm sorry if you're repeating yourself.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So in the meeting, like I said, you have, I'm just going to roughly speak. Say we got 300 students that just so happen to have logged in to the meeting. Can it even be that much? Am I going to over-exaggerating?
So right now, it's 250 people can be in a meeting at a time.
Okay.
By the end of summer, you'll be at 350, but right now, 250 people can be in a Teams meeting at any given time.
Okay. So say we have our max, and I've already created all the breakout groups, and now I want to, after I've moderated and let them know what the event is, now I'm saying, hey, now you can go into each breakout group to try to hear from somebody within that specific topic or group. Can they just click on whichever one they want and join themselves, or and exit out and go to the next? So they'll be able to navigate which groups they want to go to.
Yes. So let's see. I think this one is a good one. So because none of these are locked down, if I was a student and I listened to your general session, went to that meeting, I'd just be able to go and kind of choose my own day and then click into a breakout session in any of those. When I'm done with it, it's not interesting to me, I can exit out and go join another one. So as long as it's not a private channel, they can navigate through all of them at their will.
Okay. And is there a maximum number of breakout rooms you can create?
No.
Okay.
Now, you can have multiples going on as each person. So let's say you're a facilitator of breakout rooms in Teams. It will only let me jump easily between 4 before it'll make me leave one to add another one. But that's just for me to jump between. I can have 37 running at one time, but I know when we were showing it earlier how I could just navigate from this upper right-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, and go from meeting 1 to meeting 2 to meeting 3 to meeting 4 really easily. If I have 6 meetings going, I would have to hang up from one, join the other. But just because I hang up, the meeting is still going on. It just made me take it off of pause, hang up, join another one, and then I can always go back to that old one.
Okay, that works. Yeah, I was just making sure, like, I wouldn't necessarily have to be in all of them, because in my idea, someone would be the facilitator within each of the breakout groups I create. So I was just making sure that students would be able to jump in and jump out of whichever one they would like.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hello. Yes,
Listen,
sir.
I have a question, and this has been my problem for every one of these meetings, and that is that there are 2 very, very large, wide, black bands to the right and left of the screen, and the print is microscopic. Is there some settings I need to do on this Teams thing or on my computer, or what can I do? Because it's really hard to read anything, and you're pointing and clicking, and I can't even read the print.
It may be the resolution on your computer, or it may be that my resolution is really high. But I think I turned it down for this meeting. Is anyone else having that same issue where everything is extremely, extremely small?
He may be experiencing this if he's looking at it within the application. He may have to go into full screen view. You may want to show him how to do that, and it may make it bigger for him.
All right.
That'd be great.
Right now, I am in, are you online or are you in the desktop version of Teams? Did you open a browser to get in?
I opened the email invitation and clicked it.
So that means you possibly are on the online version of Teams. So I'll jump back into my online version of Teams and come into a meeting really quickly. And I'm sorry, my computer is again going really slow.
No, I mean, the steps that you're clicking, that's what I did to join.
Okay.
But it's just that the print is really small. I know how to, normally when I'm on my computer, I know how to enlarge from, 75% to 100% to 120%, but I can't seem to find anything to do that with. It's really maddening to try to read the print.
Yes, sir. So that was
better.
That was me zooming my screen. So I just wanted to see if it would make it bigger. So that's me zooming my screen to make it really big. This is the default size of my screen. What I'm thinking may be happening, but now am I showing up in the center? You said there's a black bar on this left-hand side and on the right-hand side.
Over on the right side where your arrow is now.
Yes, sir.
There is a black bar that extends to the right side of the screen. It's roughly about 2.5 inches. Same thing on the left side. Okay.
I think it's your demo mode. Showing demo in the team meeting. It is what the bar is. It's not really a bar. It's the background of your meeting.
Correct. We all have black bars on each side.
Yeah.
It's not full screen because she's showing us her screen.
Right.
It won't be like this.
Is your print real small, or is it just my eyes are messing up?
My print is not.
You might want to, maybe, do you have bifocals? It may be something related with that.
Yeah, I have bifocals, but it's just that normally when I go on and get emails from Southwest, everything's fine. I can do all the printing and fine. It's just when I do the team stuff. And it was like the same thing when I was learning about the stuff on pause too.
Jack, mine is just like that too.
Siobhan, question on this recording, is it only the verbal recording? So like when you're doing a demonstration like you're doing, it's not recording what you're showing, right?
It should record everything. So whatever you're seeing on your screen, it will be recording it all.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Sorry about that, Jack. If you need to ask more questions.
Listen, you guys are helping me out. Your name is Siobhan?
Yes, sir.
Are you on campus anywhere?
I'm not. I'm in Nashville.
Oh, okay. All right then. Well, that doesn't help.
Well, Jack, mine is small as well, so it's not your eyes.
Okay, but thank you. I feel a lot better.
Well, it's
it may
small, but
be
it's legible for some.
it
Yeah.
may be our computer that we're using. Because when she enlarged it, it was great.
Right,
Yeah.
but it
Well,
also
that's
took it off.
great.
It also took it off the chart. You know, it was getting
Yeah,
bigger
it
than what we
did.
could see.
Like
And
the
so
viewing area.
we can't adjust
the-
it. We
Yeah,
can't
but the
adjust
viewing
it.
area
I
is
tried everything. Yeah,
the
it
viewing
will
area.
not let you
I'm sorry.
adjust it at all. It won't let you adjust it at all.
Okay. Well, Siobhan, the viewing area is about 5 by 7
Mm-hmm.
on the computer. That's it.
Do
That's
you have
all the
your
viewing area we
You
have.
have it in full screen. So if you navigate up to the top right-hand corner, all the way across the top, next
Mhm.
to that X for the closing it out,
Right. I did that.
and you
And
sized
this is
it
what I'm
up,
getting.
and it's still only 5 by 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for why that may be from my
Okay.
end. I'm not sure
I
what
just
the
thought
cause
I
of
thought
that.
it was me, and I was sitting there going, "How am I going to teach if I can't read the words? You know, if I'm trying to
Yeah.
convey something to the kids." Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes,
I'll do
sir.
something else.
Hey, Jack, one additional question. How large is the computer screen on your laptop?
It's big. It's probably about 8 by 12 or 8 by 14.
So it's
About
like a
that.
15-inch laptop?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That could be some of your issue. But okay, we have to, you might want to touch in with our help desk or our IT support team, and they
Okay.
could take a look at the resolution on your machine. You can go to that,
Okay.
on the Southwest homepage, there's a link you can click on to get support remotely, and they can take a look at it for you.
Okay. Thank you. I may have to do that. Is
You're
it
welcome.
333-4357?
That is correct, or you can go directly to a link, select one of our technicians' names, and they'll be able to provide you with the support you need remotely.
Okay. Thank you very much. I may have to do that.
Yeah, Jack, you
Thanks.
can
Sorry.
go
Sorry.
to
I'm not trying to dominate the conversation, everybody. I just kept looking at it and going, "Why is it so small?"
yeah, Jack, you can go to support.southwest.tn.edu and they can log right into your system and make adjustments.
Okay. Thank you
So
very much.
I'm not having that problem. I know it will be smaller because she's in presentation mode. So whatever you're presenting is going to be much larger than what she's showing us.
All right. Thank you.
So I think this is our time, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, Siobhan, as usual, great job on training.
Thank you very much.
Guys, I know, she was clicking through a lot of things because she had to do it within this hour time frame, but I assure you, we will have the recordings ready for you. Matter of fact, recordings are already ready from the previous sessions that we've had. So if you're having trouble getting them, don't, feel free to reach out to me. Michael M.A. Jones, and I'll get you the link if need be. So want to point out to you one other thing. There is a raised hand feature that Microsoft has just introduced to us. So when you have large groups that need to speak, you might want to start using the raised hand feature. That way, the whomever you're trying to speak with will know you're next in line to be spoken to. Because sometimes we overtalk one another when we have large groups. So just want to point that out. There's David Bailey he's raised his hand. Go ahead, Dave.
Just wanted to show out the feature. Good to go.
And David is our resident guru on Teams. I know probably doesn't want me to advertise that, but he is. And we've had a wonderful relationship during this pandemic time with Microsoft on helping us maneuver and understand what it is that the product that we are using. So appreciate everybody joining. If we need to do something else, we're looking at some other type classes that Siobhan might be able to help us out with. So stay tuned and have a good day. Siobhan, you got anything else?
Nothing else for me.
All right, guys, let's rock and roll. Talk to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Good.
Siobhan
Very much.
and Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Stop the recording.